when we pursue our work, it's really random. I'll meet somebody and I'll be like, oh, there's a story there. Can I interview? That's how it always starts. And then because of the evolution of our work, we start to think, oh, this could be a long form interview or a series of interviews that we interlude with narrative, B-roll. Oh, let's make a documentary out of this. And I used to always think documentaries are long and hard, but they were 10 minutes, there's 5 minutes, 20 minutes. And once we figured out the formula of what we need to get, and that like the dialogue for me is everything, just having that intimate interaction with somebody, a subject that's willing to give, there's just trust. But then what we intended it to be, it does change many different ways, because you're not sure what somebody's going to say because it's not scripted, right? And
absolutely.
And you're living in the real times, COVID, or I don't know, emotional things that are going on. This documentary that we worked on centered around Oreen Askew, a Afro-Indigenous lesbian DJ. And
tell me a little bit more about that and what your ideas were in terms of that.
So I met Oreen at BCIT. We've been doing an ongoing project with them, filming diversity circles, which is a great opportunity for their student faculty association to have sort of dialogues and events with an Indigenous grounding, sort of a framework. And so at one of the events, Oreen spoke. And I said, and I feel like I know a lot of people and I get to see a lot of interesting people, but I'd never been introduced to her. I'd never seen her before. And when she spoke, she's so passionate, kind, gentle. And if you look at her, she is like tall. She has a lot of presence, strength, and very just like a proud, incredible,
like a warrior,
like a proud warrior, but also like she's shiny. Like she's like, she has this aura about her that you like, wow, like she's magnificent, like something incredible about her. You have to go meet her. So I did that. There's all these people meeting her, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sort of stick my head out. Hey, I'm Sharon. And my thing was, I'd love to connect with you. Could we have tea? Always open it up with, can we have tea? And she's like, yeah, sure. And I gave her my card, and soon enough, she's like, yeah, we need to connect. And we both sat at this table. We met again back at BCIT, and we both sat. And I remember that moment of both of us having something exciting to say to the other person. Like,
that's awesome.
Like, I've checked out more of your work. And we were both really passionate about telling a story. And she had told me that, she had met a lot of different people that were interested in telling her story, but she saw my work. She saw like the passion that I wanted to approach with this. And we still did not know what it would be. For me, it always starts off with, let me interview somebody and see what happens, right? But she's like, let's create an opportunity to, you could interview my mom, you could interview my mentor. She taught it. She had her own DJ school, so I could interview some of her students. Amazing. So the whole idea was fun, but then I had to go back to the serious nature of what is she been through, Absolutely. and coming from a Afro-Indigenous background. First of all, I had never met anybody from that background, so you're suddenly saying, oh, there's two worlds here. And then being from the LGBTQ community, there's a third of a third community that's entered in there. And then the really cool part for me was the music. The music sort of culminates through this human, and she raps. And
she sounds incredible.
She is incredible.
Wow.
Incredible. So we, Luke, myself, Nisha, our great friend from Silo Entertainment, Mel, came together to create this opportunity, and we put in a grant to tell a story hive. And usually when we do these projects, we're like ready to fund them and do them, but it was gonna take on a life of its own if we had support, And so I had never applied for a grant.
And good for you for going after those grants. I mean, I really, I've seen your process and sort of coming up. Funny, we were just talking about a photo that Facebook sparked. It reminded me of us, back in 2012 when we all looked like children.
We were young, yeah.
And so it has been really nice to see you guys' career coming up and from the interviews and now getting more into the documentary side, and now even more kind of from me pushing you guys to say, hey, what about the short films? Or what about, like Nisha's been interested about the shorts, and potentially, I shared with you guys a feature film, the things that I'm kind of revolving around, because I find that you guys already have what it takes,
Mm.
right? And so you just need to kind of transition into the next level. And then eventually you're going to have your movies or your documentaries on those platforms.
Well, it does start with one interesting thing. Uh, I always have this thing of who believes in you, right?
Mm,
Like I always think like I need a mentor. I'm like this person who goes seeks out different
right.
mentors for different ideas and stuff like that. Who are your mentors?
Well, it's funny you asked that because I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
And it's a good one. I've never seeked out a mentor,
yeah, yeah,
but and not a mentor in
yeah,
film. I think I'm inspired, a little bit selfish to say, but I'm inspired by me
yeah,
and those that surround me
yeah.
without mentors.
Yes, yes, yes.
But funny enough, this year I've decided to look into other businesses
Yes.
as I've never came from business, but owning two production companies, I consider myself a businessman now.
Absolutely, an entrepreneur.
And
Absolutely.
so I decided to seek other business ventures that I'm working on, and I got a 1 year mentorship. This is a great question because we just started
Interesting.
mentoring, and I wanted more. I want more than film.
Yeah.
I have film kind of in its cocoon, and it's now
Yes.
finally butterflying, and it's flying out there in the ether. But Jill Sinclair,
Yeah. I know Jill.
if you know
She's
Jill,
incredible.
she's my mentor.
Oh, she's incredible.
So I
Powerhouse.
reached out to her because they were having a mentorship, I believe between the ages of like 15 and 26. And so I reached out and I said, I've never had a mentor and I want to do these other businesses that I'm very interested in. And she's like, okay, well, let's have a talk and let's
Oh,
see if you're eligible. And yeah, we had a couple of meetings and whatnot, and I wrote her a couple of things, and she researched all about me, and so she took me on.
wow.
So I'm actually mentoring with her. So Jill Sinclair is now one of my business mentors,
That's
and it has been
incredible.
great. We've been at it for about a month and a half
Yeah,
now. So
yeah.
I'll have the year to be mentoring with her.
And
So
what are you creating?
so well, there's two things. So I'm creating a men's group,
Yes.
which is
I'm in. I'm in. We've talked
we,
about it. We've talked
we
about it.
have we have
Yeah, yeah.
through my own personal tragedies and growth,
Yes.
I've decided to create a men's group here in Vancouver for men to have a space to be free to talk emotionally, to be open to talk to other men
Mm.
about their feelings, their emotions, and what they're going through in
Yes.
life. I feel that in terms of brotherhood, when I needed that, I didn't really find that within the community here.
Yes.
And it gives an open space for them to be vulnerable. So perhaps they can go out in life and in their own careers or in their own relationships and feel a little bit more open to talk about what's really happening deep inside them. Through COVID, we've had a lot of mental illness.
Yes.
We've had a lot of suicides. We've had a lot of trauma, a lot of triggers. So I feel, the more I've raised this topic with other men, I came to the realization that they just need an avenue to talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
that's the one. I call it a business. I mean, Jill, she's helping me call it a business. Right now, I just want to do it for the love.
Yeah.
But, eventually, if I surrender and allow, I'm pretty sure I can turn it into a business. But it's not really about the business. It's just more about the open space and the open concept to facilitate, to be able to facilitate with other men. So that's one. It's called 101 Men's Group.
Yeah.
101, kind of going back to basics.
Yeah.
And I'm no therapist, guys. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just a man who has gone through some
Creating
stuff.
space, man. You're
Exactly.
creating
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've been doing a lot of reading about, relationship science, about psychotherapy, about therapy, about psychology, so I feel like I'm arming myself pretty well
Wow.
with the tools and the equipment that I can lead a man's group. And the other one is kind of close to home. My biological father, who's from Central America, from
Yes.
Nicaragua, has ran an Afro-Caribbean restaurant for the last 25 years in the
Wow.
capital city. And I thought, I mean, I can get money for a film, I can get investors, I can get people to come and work on this film, I can get editors, I can get all these things.
Absolutely.
Why couldn't I potentially start a restaurant in Vancouver?
Wow.
You know, in the next 5 to 7 years. So the platform's all there. My dad has it all. It's
Wow.
called the Bamboo Lay. It's built all out of bamboo. You would feel like you're in a tiki
Wow.
lounge in the middle of the Caribbean. It's all Afro-Caribbean food. So you have your plantains, you have your wild rice with beans, you know, and you have your simple salads, and you can have your, you know, your garlic shrimps and whatnot, and your
Healthy
lobsters.
too.
Yeah. And so I thought, you know, I've dined a lot in Vancouver, and I thought we need a bit more of an experience. Dining out in Vancouver for me got a little bit boring.
Yeah.
You know, where you just kind of sit, you talk, and that's it. And you're sort of every single establishment almost kind of looks the same to me, right?
Sure.
Which is fine. That's kind of the way they want it. But I really want to introduce this Central American like heat. You know,
Wow.
like when you walk in there, you feel like you're in Central America. You'll have the music playing. I'm gonna potentially have a little dance floor where people can get up and dance whenever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to swear on this?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, emotion. It's a human biography.
Sorry, Luke.
It's a human biography. Yeah.
So again, creating a space where people can come,
Yeah.
people can mingle,
Absolutely.
they can integrate with each other, relationships, you know, there could be business meetings going on there, it could be a birthday, it could be anything. And I also want it to be a place where if people need a place to shoot
Yes.
somewhere interesting,
Yes.
they can also use it as a place to shoot. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with Jill. She's really been helping
Yeah.
me and pushing me to kind of focus on those two
She's
things.
a powerhouse.
Yeah,
She's so
she's
impressive.
incredible.
She's so
man.
impressive.
She's incredible.
So mentorship, film, you're working on, what's your next project?
So right now we are developing two feature films.
Yeah.
One John is developing with his dad,
Yeah.
so it's kind of
Wow.
close to home. Yeah, it's
Very cool.
It's a period piece set in Montreal in
Wow.
the 1970s, but can't speak too much on that.
That
And then,
sounds cool already, yeah.
Doing our next film, we're developing with Usman Ghani, which you
Yeah.
guys know.
Awesome.
And it's called the Bar Menu.
Yeah.
And it's about these 4 zoologists who go to Pakistan
Wow.
in search of the Yeti, and they're Canadian zoologists
Wow.
that are going to school at UBC. So that's kind of where we're placing ourselves
Wow.
right now. And finishing off El Mulatto, and I have another short that I'm going to be doing about the 4 agreements.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So at the, I had a thought, you know, when I was formulating this idea with Nisha about, you know, what is this podcast? And I wanted to have a common theme to all of them. And sort of the theme for our work is legacy. So I'm going to ask this to everybody that we have on this show. You know, what is the and I don't want people to think of legacy as something, oh, I got to die to have a legacy, but you're living a legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is your living legacy currently at this time?
That's a great question. And I have been thinking that as I've turned 40.
Oh, wow.
I thought, what can I leave behind? So my legacy is my films, you know, and I'm going to mention this just as you said death, but you know, to celebrate death, I would be really happy to just be able to have films circulating the world that some people it impacted and it made a change in their lives, and they said, "Wow, this was an incredible film." That's all I really want. You know, I don't want millions of dollars. I don't need a castle in the sky. But as long as I die and people said, "You know what? That guy was straight up, and he made some great little films." That's really what I'm here for. You know,
Beautiful.
to leave that behind. Yeah.